Welcome to the show, Cass.
Thank you. I'm happy and grateful to be here.
You're one of many Ohio people I've had on the show.
I know I heard that that's a trend in your podcast.
And I don't know how it started, but like once you find one, I didn't count them out, but I wouldn't be surprised if I've had 20 out of 200 episodes.
Yeah, that's a lot. I don't know. I guess it's like one is too many, a thousand's never enough.
Yeah. I've contemplated the idea of doing an episode with as many Ohio people as I could in one sitting podcast with like 20.
Really?
Yeah. I'm still
That would be
contemplating.
dope.
So we'll see if I
Yeah. Get
um
her out. Yeah.
the hard part is scheduling with everybody's schedule is
Yeah,
finding
we would have
time.
to get the
I would
right.
have to do like an 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday night to make sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It would be tough.
for real.
What's your sober date?
August 16th, 2023.
Okay, congratulations on a little over a year.
Thanks.
You just celebrated a year then a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I
Uh,
did. It's
what was
crazy.
going on August 15th of 2023?
Um, so I went to treatment back in April of last year, and it was my first time in treatment. Went away from home. I went to Florida. I would admit that I have a drug and an alcohol problem. Um, then I come home. I'm in IOP for a month. I'm using an IOP. Um, I'm using ketamine and acid and mushrooms and other things that don't come up on drug tests. Um, but here's the kicker. I went to a rave, so I was big into the festival and EDM scene, and I did all a smorgasbord of drugs, and I got caught. Thank God. Stayed back in treatment for a while. Um, Went to meetings, did the whole thing. I started living a double life after I left treatment. I mean, even more so. I was going to AA meetings and acting good and okay. And I feel that a part of me wanted to be sober and be able to do that, but I had reservations. So I just started using drugs because I didn't think that I was a drug addict anymore after time passed. Thought I was just an alcoholic and the drugs weren't the problem.
Yeah,
I blew through all my money, and then yeah, it was the worst point I could have gotten.
I first found recovery by going to rehab in April 2018. I went across the country and went to rehab in Los Angeles. So
Oh,
I didn't want to do the Florida shuffle. I know so many people that went down to Florida for their rehab, and I didn't want to know anybody there. I wanted to, you know what I mean, go somewhere where I knew nobody. Um,
yeah.
so when did you first go to rehab? What was the date?
It was April 29th.
Oh, so close to mine. I went April 25th.
Really? Yeah, that was right around that. I was withdrawing so bad on April 25th, actually, from
Well, April
alcohol.
25th, 2018. So
Yeah, no, I figured, but
yeah,
for me, yeah,
you were withdrawing from alcohol.
yeah, really worse than I've ever dealt with in my life. Um, that was my that was 2 weeks after my second high test OVI, like DUI, and I knew it was bad, and I'm just walking miles to get alcohol from, like, a bottle of Tito's. I just couldn't walk anymore, in more ways than one. Ran it out of fucking the ability to do that, and I just said, dude, anything but this.
Yeah. Well, when did you first start drinking? How old were you?
First drink, I think I was 15. It got really bad when I was 2019. I was probably, yeah, I was 20 years old at that time.
So you're
Uh,
25 now.
yeah, I'm 25.
Okay, so you grew up like many people in my show in Ohio.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up in Huron, Ohio, which is just a little bit east of Sandusky, and in my backyard was a beach. My whole life, I was there.
A beach for what? Like the lake?
Yeah, Lake Erie. Yeah.
Um, so 15, were you out with friends or did you like sneak alcohol in your house? What was your first drink like?
So my first drink actually, it was the night that I snuck some people over and they were snooping around my house and they found my dad's liquor cabinet. They were talking me in. They're like, hey, no, yeah, let us have some. No, it'll be fun. It was a few people. And I ended up saying, fuck it. Like, just go ahead. And then I started drinking. It started off with me smoking weed for the first time. Um,
In the same night?
the same night, yeah. And that was also the night that I swiped my V card too. It was just like a very traumatic, like overwhelming shift in my whole, I'm like, dude, what is going on? Yeah, all in the same night. I'm freshly 15, like just turned 15. But I mean, I can't really remember a whole lot from that night. I had fun because there was no consequences, but I did have that kind of like shame from being sneaky and taking my dad's alcohol. Like I did not that wasn't my plan to do that. I just kind of went along with it because I wanted them to like me. So essentially.
Yeah,
But
I can see that.
yeah.
Did you continue drinking after that?
I was a big stoner in high school mostly.
Because you
Um
would have been a freshman at 15, right?
yeah. So I right out the gate, it was 2013. I just completely, I was trying to fit into this friend group, and they all listened to, like ASAP Rocky, like rappers, like they all liked rap. They all had like not the hippie, but like the cool aesthetic. And I was like, okay, well, I like that. And then I just ran with it. That was who I was. And I was smoking a lot, and it just progressively became more and more until it was every day. I get agitated without it. And then, yeah, I was stealing alcohol from gas stations and Walmart. So that was I mean, I don't know. Is that normal for a young kid? Like a teenager? I feel like it's on the edge of being concerning.
It's funny in Ohio, you can just go into Walmart and steal, beer because I grew up in Jersey, and in Jersey, you can't get alcohol inside of a grocery store or a gas station. We have dedicated liquor stores. So we would sit outside the
Oh,
liquor store,
really?
pay people to go in and buy it for us.
That's, yeah, that is different. I mean, that's probably how it should be. I mean, yeah, it's just so accessible. It was so accessible. It still is.
I
More
mean,
so.
I still turned out to be an alcoholic, so it it didn't
It
really
didn't
matter.
matter. Yeah, it didn't. I like it, so I'm gonna go to any lengths to get what makes me feel good.
I was 11 when I first drank, and
Really? Were you? What was your first encounter?
Captain Morgan and Coke.
Oh, I had a phase of that
Yeah.
for a while.
My, my parents were not big drinkers, but they would throw parties at the house, and they would put the leftover liquor in the basement. And
Oh,
I was doing
snap.
laundry one day, and I found the liquor down there, and my friend was sleeping over, and I was like, "Hey, let's try this. This might be fun." So it was purely experimental. We made Captain and Cokes, and we watched movies.
Oh
And
my god.
when I was 12 is when I started drinking alcoholically, where I don't mean I was drinking every day when I was 12 years old.
Right.
I mean that I was drinking to numb and drinking to forget. You know, I had a friend pass away suddenly when he was hit by a car. And
Um,
I remember saying to my other friend, like, hey, if we drink, we're going to feel better. So right there, that's me drinking like an alcoholic at 12.
yeah.
And by the time I was a freshman in even eighth grade, I drank a lot. Every weekend, I drank in eighth grade. So, you know,
Yeah.
and that progressed the entire time to senior
Yeah.
year where we were drinking every night on school nights and everything. So,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Yeah. It's progressive. I mean, if you have that, if I have that gene in me, and then I'm also going through some type of trauma where I went through it, and it's just the perfect storm. It
do you
just
want to
gets
talk
worse
about
and worse.
trauma?
What'd you say?
You want to talk about trauma?
Yeah, I do. Where do we begin?
Probably from the
Uh,
start.
from the get go. All right, so gotta get comfortable. So I had a very good childhood, materially. My dad ended up raising me on his own because my mom and him got a divorce. My mom struggled with painkillers. I didn't know because I was 4 years old. So my dad got full custody of me. He would take me to do fun things. He was the best dad, best that he could do, you know what I mean? Um, my mom gets remarried, I think, a year later. Um, Pop out my little sister, both of my little sisters, like a year apart. She was drinking heavily. I would go over to my mom's house, and I was probably 11, I think, at this time. 11 through like 13. I would be at my mom's house, and she would go to the bar, and I would be watching and taking care of my sisters to make sure that they were, having a good childhood, taken care of, baths, eating, you know, attention. At that time, my mom was married to Jay at that time, and yeah, they would be out at the bar. I'd hear them fighting. Um, then I would switch back to my dad, where I'm just like the princess. I'm the queen of the house because it was just us living together. So I had kind of a distorted sense of self, not really knowing who or what kind of person I was. I just thought it was kind of normal to just be left alone all the time. Um, with my dad working a lot, he ended up getting a girlfriend who was very mentally and verbally abusive to me, just in slights. And then it got worse. She just did not like me. Um, so I didn't really ever have a good view of a relationship. And I also felt like I needed to be needed. That's how I would feel important because, I when I'd be alone, I would just be doing, normal kid stuff. I'd play on the computer and everything, but I was looking like desperately for a to be seen and, a part of something, My sisters were a lot older and then a lot younger than me. I have four other sis No, I have five sisters. Holy crap. Yeah, I have five sisters. Why did I have to think about that? Um and I'm the middle, but I was raised like an only child. None of them are my parents that they had together. So I was trying to take care of my little sisters, and my older sister was kind of hard on me. Um, I don't know. So it was just one, two, three, four. And then my mom ended up going to prison. and she just was not around. Like, she wasn't around, and then this is a little short story of it. I was in theater and musical theater, and I had a performance, and I called my mom to see where she is, and she said, "Yeah, Cass, I gotta tell you something. I'm in prison. I'm in jail right now." And that was, that was a memory that I'll always remember. Is just that feeling of like numb. Yeah, it was really tough. That was the first part of it, the trauma. But
Yeah, it's not. Were you drinking at this point yet, or no?
oh no, I didn't. I actually was scared of drugs and alcohol until I was 13. I was. The smell of weed made me cry because I was just like, oh, I don't know why. That was just, and then it's like I try it and I'm like, this is me. This is me.
And you
So
became a
weird.
little hippie.
What'd
Did
you
you?
say?
I said you became a little hippie.
Yeah, I'm still, I still keep parts of myself alive because I do love that. I'm a free spirit and I believe in spreading positivity and kindness to all. But, like, yeah, I like the style of it too. As you could see, I have like my freaking tribute, or what's it called? Tribal pants on. Yeah. Festivals were also a big integral part of my existence in life. But yeah.
So you're 15. You become kind of a little pothead. Um, you're smoking almost every day. Were you still drinking a lot too?
I really didn't drink a whole lot until I think when I was a senior in high school. I think I was 18 because I'm a little older than the people in my class. We would have this thing called Turnt Fest, and it would just be basically us all getting turned up every weekend after a football game, and it would just be me and like three other friends. And I don't even know, I think we were getting people to buy it for us. I was drinking alcoholically in the way that I was drinking because I like the effect produced by alcohol, and it was just I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop, and I'd be waiting all week to do the thing. And then it just, out of high school, I was always having parties, and we had tables full of alcohol. I mean, and marijuana, like weed. Other substances got introduced when I started going to raves.
Like what other substances? Like acid?
Um, so I've had though I have not tried any opiates, and but I've tried all the things that people call the fun stuff. Any too much of a good thing, even if it's not, you know what I mean, is bad, is terrible. It could destroy my life. I loved, I freaking loved Molly, acid. I'd have like, whenever I would take that, at this time it was just like I'd go to an event and do it, where I'd be on a cruise or a party or something. um I did cocaine a few, like, once in a while, but at the end I was just kind of going crazy. I was doing nitrous like every day. I was addicted to that. Nitrous oxide. um Ketamine was my biggest. Ketamine is my drug of choice, and alcohol was just easier to get. And so I identify as an alcoholic and an addict.
Me too.
I am.
Yep. No,
Yeah.
when do you think you made how old were you when you made that transformation into like harder drugs too?
Okay, so it was 2019 and I went to my first festival. I think it was 2021 for sure. It wasn't like out of, it's progressive in the way that, like, things started going off the rails in my personal life that I I'd go to Cleveland and get what I wanted. And then I just start spending, like, dropping $400 because then I have it. And then it's just like it's a Tuesday at noon, and I'm like, let's microdose on acid. And then I just am taking way too much acid and then start drinking. Two.
Yeah, because
Just
I
because
remember, and you can't even get drunk when you're on acid.
I know.
It's like impossible. I remember one time we took a bunch of acid and my friend drank 35 beers and he was sober. I mean, he wasn't sober, he was tripping balls. But he didn't feel
Yeah.
drunk at all.
Yeah, it's just like such an overwhelming sensation, acid. It just overall in every area. It's like
Physically and
physically,
mentally.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, your reality, your sense of reality is distorted, and that's kind of what ketamine did to me. Um,
When
a
did
lot
you
of
move
people,
out on your own?
um, so I moved with my boyfriend into the town over. He bought a house, and we lived in it. It was our home. That was in 20. That was at the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021. We had been together for less than a year, but he's such a good guy, and we had a great relationship at that time. So I lived downtown in Sandusky, so that was a really big shift in my accessibility and the normalcy of just going out all the time, because I'm just right there and I'm 21 or 22. So I was just out all the time or at a rave or sleeping.
Not working?
That was it. Oh, I worked a lot at this time too, and I had issues with my managers at that job at that time. And I think it was because I was just so irritable and sensitive and looking for an issue. And yeah, I was working. I worked at I still work at the same place. It's a resort, so I was around food and beverages all the time. It's also very normalized in the service industry just to go hit it hard, especially when I'm young. So,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
was living downtown at this time.
Were you still at the place with your boyfriend?
I don't, because I this is a good transition. He was just so understanding of me. 2021 was the start of the end, the summer. I am looking to escape. I'm making manic, impulsive decisions. I cheat on him behind his back. Lie, withhold information. I'm not doing really much of anything good, and hurting myself. I've fallen on my um, when I was skateboarding. It's a scar right there on my eyebrow. Um, Blackout fall. I was hurting myself, breaking shit. Um, he actually gave me chances up until the beginning of this year, and we've been broken up since February of 2023. Because he just couldn't deal with my. He knew I had a problem before I knew I had a problem, and I wish him so well. I still love him, but I know it's this right decision just to let him grow on his own path, because he doesn't owe it to me to give me that 20th chance. So I have to come to peace with that. But
So,
now I don't live with him.
okay. Do you live on your own or you move back with your dad?
I moved back with my dad. But right now our house is getting rebuilt, so I am living with a woman, a roommate in recovery. So I have a room here, and it's really centrally located to all my meetings, and it's just, yeah, it's been awesome.
Whose idea was it for you to go to rehab?
My idea.
So let's
Well,
let's let's get caught up. So you move out of your boyfriend's in February of 23. So that leaves March, April, most of May. That leaves 3 months in between your breakup and you go to rehab. Did you drink and
yeah.
progress? You guys broke up?
Oh yeah, and this I'd be telling him, yeah, I'm taking a break. This was like the beginning of 2023. I mean, I was drinking all day, every day. Wake up in the morning, drink, drinking while driving, vodka, Fireball. Um, in between this time, I would keep him updated and say I'm doing really well, but the drinking got out of hand. Just preposterous, at the end of 2022, it started getting like that. Um, so I was just drinking severely, April, probably, yeah, February through April. I ran out of my drugs, I ran out of alcohol, and I got my second DUI. I blew like 3 times the legal limit during the day on a Tuesday with a friend in the car that I felt terrible at, acting like a fool. And I didn't even feel that intoxicated. That was how, just like, yeah, a normal day for me.
What were
So
you
I got another
drinking?
DUI.
What were you drinking?
Vodka, Smirnoff, the cheapest and the most. That was just the one I always got. Or Tito's.
I drank
But yeah,
Tito's a lot.
yeah. And then it was just, honestly, I had a whiskey and Coke kick. I had a rum pineapple cranberry kick. I had a vodka Red Bull kick. The only thing I didn't never fuck with was gin. Never catch me drinking gin.
So how far apart were your DUIs?
My first one was in freaking March of 2019, and then the second one was in April of 2023. So about 3 years apart. Or no,
What
not
were
3 years
the
ago. Four
what
years
were the
apart.
what were the consequences to your first DUI? Did you lose your license? Did you have community service? Were you on probation?
Yeah, so I did get my license taken away for a year. And I mean, I was underage at that time, and I was a high test that time. I did the 3-day driving intervention program, which they would touch a lot about, the consequences of drinking alcoholically and drug addiction and things that, accidents and things like that. And at that time, I learned a lot from it, but I didn't really identify. I was like, oh yeah, that sucks for people who are alcoholics. And my lesson was don't drink and drive. But those things, these ideas that I have, they just faded away, because it's just like the consequences stopped. I was on probation, completed that successfully, and just went on my merry way.
Were you still drinking through probation?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm sure I was. I wasn't smoking weed. I
Because they
think
were
I was
drug
drinking.
testing you.
Huh?
Were they drug testing you?
Yeah. I did good though with the weed. I was, because at that time I was still going pretty good in that department. So I was able to stop the weed. I was, those are the only substances I was really doing at that point. When I started going to EDM shows and festivals, that's when I really actually did drugs. Like started, I should say, doing harder drugs.
And it sounds like you were an uppers kind of person where you weren't doing downers.
Yeah, correct.
So, like you said, Molly, um, and acid. Did you get into like ecstasy or MDMA?
Yeah. Um I guess I don't really know like the difference between MDMA and ecstasy and Molly, but I think like it was just like I think it was MDMA, not ecstasy. But like I would be doing, yeah, when I loved that shit. It just would just take me down so much the next few days. And
That's why I
I don't
couldn't
know,
become.
yeah, it made me happy. And it was making me happy, and all these things I was doing, I had associated with euphoria. So it was so
Yeah,
easy to have that thought of
yeah.
triggered.
Acid. I had to be careful with acid because like you needed 2 days off in a row to do acid. You needed that day that you were going to take
Yeah.
it, and then you needed the next day where you could come down and recuperate and get off that acid hangover. And
Yeah.
like the problem was I couldn't do acid every day because of work. So I discovered opiates, and I could
Oh,
do opiates every single day. And I like it replaced alcohol for me. Instead of drinking alcohol every day, I did opiates every day. So
what kind of opiates were you
Roxy
taking?
30s,
Oh, okay, yeah.
little
I've heard a
pills.
little about them. Yeah.
Yeah, they were my
I don't really
downfall for
hear
10 years.
Yeah, I don't really hear a whole lot about those like in the rooms anymore. Or not anymore. I don't really hear about that as much. I always hear
You
fentanyl.
there? Yeah. Well, that's what it is now. Yeah, fentanyl
Oh,
kind of took it over. Um,
because
so
it's everywhere now.
yeah. So did you when you
And
went did you go into AA meetings when you first got your DUI, your first one? Was that like mandatory meetings
oh
at all?
no, no. They talked a little bit about AA, and it's crazy. I still have a folder of all that stuff, and I was just doodling on that paper. I don't think it wasn't really clicking. I was like, once again, didn't identify with it, but I know I did not attend or really know much about AA until I was introduced to it in treatment.
Down in Florida?
Yeah, I went to a faith-based program, and I did not like that because I had no faith in anything greater than myself, and I would think I was looking for an out because I wasn't done, but yeah, no, I that's how I actually got into treatment, was looking up Alcoholics Anonymous, or because Alcoholics Anonymous, they have the phone line, and I asked them, "Hey, I need some help. I'm talking a little bit." And the girl says, "Hey, I think you would benefit from going to like treatment. You don't really just hop into AA meetings without some type of jump
DPS.
start."
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have been able to do that, unless I'm physically removed from that, privilege of, because yeah, it would have gotten just, I don't even know what would have happened. But yeah, no, it was all new to me. I didn't know. For me, my spirituality, it's something that I cannot define or explain, the feelings and the coincidences I might have called them, that I am able to see and be aware of now, and it is just such a big part of my recovery. And the community, and the willingness to improve myself so I can make up for all the bullshit I've done in the past with my actions.
So in the past year since you've gotten into rehab and you've gotten into AA, how often do you go to meetings?
I go to meetings like 5 days a week. Sometimes I go to like 2 a day because they have morning ones. Or I go to like a meditation meeting, which I am obsessed with, on Tuesdays. So I go to a lot, man, because I enjoy it. I enjoy I enjoy like being with these people. It's like school. Like I don't know. It's like going to school and seeing all your friends and learning stuff.
What do you think you've learned the most in the last year?
That I need to forgive myself and that I need to forgive others and be honest and willing to hear other people's sides and opinions and not just think that I know everything, because that was a big one. I just love to argue. I'd call it debating. I just love debating, looking for an issue. And now I just live more peacefully. I kind of just go with the flow and let things transpire how they're supposed to. That's been a big one. Just having a sense of purpose.
And do you have a sponsor?
Yes, I do. She is awesome. I have a sponsor who I've gotten through the 12 steps a few months ago. I sponsor this girl that is my friend. Well, she's my friend now. Her name, well, not her name.
Yeah.
She is, what am I doing? Yeah, she's 23. I'm 25. We relate a whole lot. And, it's just been reliving, reminding myself of the things that I can still work on. I'm never done growing or learning. And, if I'm going to talk, I got to practice what I preach. So it's been really good. It's just the fulfilling part of this recovery that I'm in.
Yeah, sponsoring people, you get a lot out of it because it kind of reminds you of where you were when you first came in.
Yeah. And it helps, yeah, because it just, it's just so beautifully like beneficial to both sides, because sometimes I still struggle and she takes it and just like flips it into, this is it makes her like me more human to be able to see that, like, I have this positive outlook, but things still happen, and it's all about, how long I choose to sit in those things. So I'm trying to help guide others, but that is something that I struggle with still, is kind of just not really talking to people when I'm upset, because I don't want to bring them down. But I know that is a sick way. That's I can't be trapped in my own brain. It's a bad place when it gets dark in there, man.
No, I couldn't agree more.
I struggle with, my biggest thing is anxiety, and I have borderline personality disorder and bipolar disorder. So I'm in recovery from mental health too.
Yeah, I'm bipolar also.
Damn, yeah, it's fucking tough, dude. I I take medication now that actually I take it as prescribed. I always had the psychiatrist, but I never really, I wouldn't actually put the effort in to do what I was suggested.
Yeah. I have a psychiatrist and I have a therapist.
Yeah, I have both.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's, and it's these relationships that I choose to get in recovery, and it's dating in recovery. For me, I realize there's a pattern, is that I get with somebody who is around the same amount of sobriety as me, and everything's just like, oh my God, I see myself in this person. And then I think it's my ego is I want them to start, I want them to improve themselves and do all this stuff that I want them to do. And they don't. And these people are sick. We're sick, in the head, dude. Like, so I keep, it wasn't the right timing, but I've had some really traumatic things happen, like in dating in the last year, and that all happens in sobriety. And I just have to learn from those things. Like, that's why I struggle still so much with my mental health, is that I know these are triggers, but I do it anyway. Isn't that just the alcoholic mindset?
And you quit smoking weed too, or do you still smoke?
Oh no, I don't smoke anymore. I vape, but one disaster at a time. I'll be okay. I'll quit soon. That's
Yeah,
what
you're
they all
smoking.
one day.
I'm 38 and I still smoke cigarettes, so
Yeah.
it'll.
Well,
I'm hoping to
we
quit
all
before 40, so I got a couple years.
exactly. I think we'll be okay. Yeah, right. But yeah, life has just been crazy, eventful. I'm participating in life. I have a new life that I'm allowing to grow. And
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing really good right now.
yeah, I'm freaking grateful, man. Like, I take care of myself. I'm in school right now. I I never thought I had any purpose, I didn't think I was smart enough. I was unmotivated, to say the least. I didn't
What are
have a
you going to
plan.
school for?
To be a registered nurse. Yeah,
Something
so
you
it's
definitely need to be sober for.
yeah, yes. Yeah, so it's challenging. It gives me a little bit of anxiety because if I'm going to do something, I want to do it perfect, and I want to do it everything right, and I'm just in control. I want to feel in control. So I just kind of have to do my best, but still make time to work on my sobriety and myself and my relationships with my family and my friends and my sponsee. Like, that's so important to me.
Yeah, it sounds
Without
like
it,
you're
I
doing
wouldn't.
really good though. I can see the progress that you made just in what we've talked about. You've come a long way in this past year and a couple months. So,
Thank
and I appreciate you coming on and being so candid about your history and what's going on. And I think you're
you.
doing great. So, keep up the great work, Cass. I appreciate it. And
Thank you for having me. Take care, man.
I'll let you know if I end up doing an Ohio one with a bunch of people from Ohio.
Yeah. All right. That sounds
Have a good
good.
day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.